Hey guitar freaks, welcome to the newest episode of 2016. I just wanted to continue on from what we were talking about before the break, where we were talking about Pentatonics and that first position, the unpopular position, and I was going through some of the notes that aren't in there that are nice to know and nice to play. I'm going to continue the same idea using the rest of the positions. The rest of the positions are used a lot. Some more than others. So let's go through them really quick. This is the one we talked about last day. Okay, and we did, and I mentioned how, you know, you should just sit on that position and get real comfortable with it, play lots of things and different techniques and so on. This position, next one up, that's the popular one that everybody dwells on, and usually, and it's an easy transition up to the next one. This is probably the other one that doesn't get a lot of attention. This one's starting on the 10th fret. This is all in A, of course. But there are things that you can do. There are things you can do in that position, and then there's that position up there at the 12th fret. So I'm just going to show you a couple of notes that passing notes. Sometimes some of them are blue notes, which are notes that are added to the scale just to kind of fill it out a little bit. I'll just go through some of those notes in those different positions, and then I'll put on a little backing track and show you how they give you kind of a little bit of a different flavor. So with the 5th position, on the A string, instead of going 5/7 fret or 1/3 with your fingers, if you had that middle note, which would be basically an E flat note, you've heard that many times, I'm sure. That's the blue note there, which is used quite often, and then an octave above that, that same blue note occurs there, which is on the 8th fret of the G string. So again, they add a little bit of a tonal variety to the straight blues. They're not notes that you can sit on though. You don't rest phrases on those notes. They're just passing tones. But again, they kind of fill things out and make things a little interesting. So again, it's the 8th note on the G string, and it's the 6th fret on the A string. Now on the next position up, well, I'm playing that blue note again, so I'm incorporating it there. But also, in this little box down here between the G, B, and E string, as long as you just run through it and you don't sit on it, but if you play these in between notes, so you do a chromatic thing like, it always sounds kind of nice and kind of fills things out again. So there's another thing that you can do, another idea in that position. 10th position, lots of chromatic stuff here again. So here's the basic position, or basic scale. But if you throw some chromatic stuff in there, that sounds cool too. There's another quick tone you can throw in there, 12th fret on the B strings. And I also do a little chromatic thing here on the high E string when I do a walk up from the 10th to 12th fret. So there's a bunch of things you can do there as well. On the 12th fret another chromatic again, so on the D string, maybe a walk up from 12th to 14th. Here's another note I throw in quite a bit. It's the 12th fret B string. Now the actual pattern is, but I'll play. Okay, because and I'll also on the I'll play the 12th and 11th on the A string. Okay, so now really what I'm doing there is I'm throwing in like some of the notes from the full 8-note scale that work quite well. So these are just, again, just ideas, you know, things you can throw into regular blues patterns, pentatonics, make them a little more interesting, make them a little more full. I mean, there's great blues players that can get a lot of mileage out of just playing the 5 notes. I am not one of them. I need as many notes as I can to make something sound decent. So I'm going to put on a backing track and let's try all that stuff together and see what happens. Okay, so I've got a backing track going, which is a 1-4-5 in A. So if I was to play just 5th position, regular notes, if I throw in some of these blue notes, then I get a little bit of a different sound, something a little more interesting. Playing a lot of blue notes in there. I also slid up to this next pattern, played a lot of chromatic stuff in there. I'm kind of goofing up, as you can probably hear, but you get the idea. If you play that extra stuff, it just sounds a little more interesting, right? So let me try that again. So I'm going to start up in this position. So up here I was throwing in some chromatic stuff. The 12th position. So I'm playing a lot of extra stuff in there, stuff like that, you know. Stuff like that. You know, so these are just I mean, don't mind my mistakes, because I'm trying to record and save time and all this kind of thing. Do this all simultaneously, but all that sort of thing, those little fills and things here and there, those notes really help fill out the pentatonic scale and just make your playing a lot more interesting, and just give you a lot more variety in what you're doing. Now, we were playing just over an A, D, and an E chord there. That's all I had recorded, which is a straight 1-4-5. And what we've been doing is basically a minor tonality, which is sort of leaning towards the blues. Again, with these extra notes that I added, but essentially what we've been doing is blues. So in the next few lessons, what I'd like to do is start doing getting more into like the relationships between some progressions and what scales to choose, getting into a little bit of theory, nothing crazy, just the bare basics. I don't know that much theory anyway, but just the bare basics, and just to sort of give you a guideline as to some ideas on what you can play and what you can do over different progressions, and we'll do a little bit of analysis on that. Keeping it relatively simple, because that's the extent of my knowledge at that point. So anyways, I'd like to thank you for watching. If you've made it this far, thank you. It's Guitar Hacks. It's a guitar hack community. Please, if you've got comments, share. If you've got other websites or things you want to add, things that I should be doing, let me know. Appreciate it, and let's just keep this thing going. All right, thanks very much for your attention. Take care. Bye-bye.